Good afternoon, everyone. We are Group 6, and today we are going to report the Chapter 6, which is the sampling, distribution, and the point estimation of parameters. Um, to have a simple introduction, statistical method are used to make a decision and draw conclusion about population. This aspect of statistics is generally called statistical inference. These techniques utilize the information in a sample for drawing conclusion. This chapter covers the study of the statistical methods used in decision making. And now let's proceed to what are we going to discuss. The topic to be discussed is point estimation, sampling distribution, central limit theorem, properties of point estimators, and mean square error. And the first one is the point estimation. So what is point estimation? A point estimation is a single value used as an estimate of a population parameter before collecting data. Sample observation or random variables, sample 1, sample 2, and so on. Also, process of using the data available to estimate the unknown value of a parameter. When someone representative statistical model has been proposed for the variation observed in some chance of phenomenon. The last one is point estimation is means using a single calculated value from sample data to estimate an unknown population parameter. If you are confused, here are the key points. Point estimation is the process of using sample data to calculate one number that serve as the best guess for unknown population value, like the mean of proportion. And this is the objective point of estimation. The objective of point estimation is to select single number based on the sample data that is the most plausible value for theta. The numerical value of a sample statistic is used as the point estimate. And here are the statistical notation and symbol for you to be guided. This is the symbol for mean of single population, also for variance, proportion of items in population. And the mean 1 minus mean 2 is the difference in means of two population. For P1 minus P2, this is the difference in two population proportion. S squared is the sample variance. Theta is true population parameter. And theta hat is point estimate or numerical value after calculation. And for X bar, that is sample mean. N represent the sample size. Now let's proceed this into formula. The formula for sample mean is the summation of sample or X over N. And for variance is equal to the summation of quantity X minus X bar raised to 2 over N minus 1. And for standard deviation, S is equal to the square root of summation X minus X bar raised to 2 r squared over N minus 1. Now let's proceed to example. Let's proceed to example. For example number 1. Consider the population consisting 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So find the population mean. We're going to find the population mean. We're going to use a formula for mean, which is the summation x over n. And we're going to compute it using the given, which is the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, which is represent our sample. And divide by 6 because there are 6. Um, then if we compute it, we get 7.5 mean. And consider some possible sample size too, drawn without replacement from the population. We're going to, our task is to drawn without replacement from the population. So for our solution, we need to get the 2, 2, which is the 10, 9, 10, 8, 10, 7, 10, 6, 10, 5 Also, also, if you want some to add, you can add some more like 10, 9, 10, 9, 8, 9, 7, 9, 6, 9, 5, and so on. But uh, but the but the given said considered some possible example. So I will going to use this 5 only. And now let's proceed to get the mean. Use the same formula, um, formula summation x over n, which is the 10 minus 10 plus 9 over 2, because our sample is only 2. And now the mean. If we will get the mean 9.5, and repeat the process. 10 plus 8 over 2 is equal to 9. So, and so on so far. That the mean that we get, that is our point estimation of our population. And for example number 2, suppose that we have sample data 5, 8, 10, 7, 10, 14, and find point estimate of population mean. We're going to find the point estimate of the population mean. For our solution, first we need to know the formula. Population mean, it means we need a formula for mean. The summation x over n, like I said earlier, we need to add the sample of data and divide it by 6, because there are 6 sample of data. Then compute it, we will get the 9. And that is our point estimate the population mean. The next example is point estimate of population standard deviation. For standard deviation, since standard deviation, we will use the standard deviation formula, which is S is equal to the square root of summation quantity x minus x bar raised to 2 over n minus 1. Um, we will we have the same given. The sample 5, 8, 10, 7, 10, 14. And we will get the quantity x minus x bar. We will minus the 5 minus 9, because this is our mean. 5 minus 9 is equal to negative 4. 8 minus 9 is equal to negative 1. And so on. Just repeat the process. And that in this column, we will just raise it. Negative 14 raised to 2 is equal to 16. Negative 1 raised to 2 is equal to 1, and repeat the process also. And then we will put the total, the summation of x bar minus the x minus x bar raised to 2. That is 48. We will need to put that in our formula, which is this. Standard deviation is equal to the square root of 48 over 6, because it's 6, this our sample data, and minus 1, that is equal to 3.1. That is our standard deviation. And for example number 3, let's say in real life situation problem. In the survey, 150 people answer the survey. They given 3 options, which is yes, no, and maybe. 75 response is yes, while 55 response for no, and 20 response for maybe. Our task is to find the point estimate of proportion in the population respond yes. We will find the uh, respond yes population that respond yes. We will use this formula. This P is represent will be proportion for population, but if you are confused, just use X. That is the same. P bar is equal to X raised to N. Um, X is equal to 75 because that is responded yes. So I will put the 75 with the X and over 50 because there are 150 people answer the survey. And then just solve it and that will equal to 0.5. That is the population that respond yes. And that is all for our point estimation. I will pass this to the next reporter of our group.
Next, we have the sampling distribution. What is distribution? The field of statistical inference is basically concerned with generalization and predictions. So we have, on sampling distribution, we have these three. First, we will tackle random sample. The random variables are usually assumed to be independent and identically distributed. These random variables are known as a random sample. The random variables x1, x2, and so on until xn are a random sample of size n if the xi's are independent random variables and every xi has the same probability distribution. Second, we have the statistic. Such a random variable is called statistic. A statistic is any function of the observation in a random sample we have encountered. Statistics before. For example, if x1, x2 until xn is a random sample of size n, the sample mean, the sample variance s2, and the sample standard deviation s are statics. Because of static is a random variable, it has a probability distribution. And last is sampling distribution. The probability distribution of a static is called a sampling distribution. The sampling distribution of a static depends on a distribution of the population, the size of the sample, and method of choosing the samples. The probability and distribution of is called the sampling distribution of the mean. Next slide, please. Consider determining the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Suppose that a random sample of size n is taken from a normal distribution with mean, mu, and variance O squared. Now, now each observation is this sample says x1, x2 until xn is a normally and independently distributed random variable with mean mu and variance O squared. Then, because linear functions of independent, normally distributed random variables are also normally distributed as discussed in the previous chapters. So, as concluded, that the sample mean has a normal distribution mean, this is the formula, uh, mu x bar is equal to the sum of mu over n is equal to the mu, and variance O squared and x bar is equal to the sum of the variance over the n squared is equal to the O squared over n. Next slide, please. Now we will have now we have the central limit theorem. If we are sampling from a population that has a unknown probability distribution, the sampling distribution of the sample mean will still be approximately normal with mean, mu, and variance O squared over n if the sample n is large. This is one of the most useful theorems in statistics, called the central limit theorem. If x1, x2 until xn is a random sample of n taken from a population, either finite or infinite, with mean mu and finite variance O squared, and if is the same sample mean, the limiting form of the distribution of z is equal to x bar over mu over uh, O over n squared, as n is to infinity is the standard normal distribution. Next slide, please. Now this is the C table. We will use this as we solve the problems in the central limit theorem and the standard sum. Next slide. So, example 1. Suppose it is known that the heights of all Canadians follows a certain normal distribution, mean of 160 centimeter and a standard deviation of 7 centimeter. What is the probability that the average height of 10 random Canadian is less than 150 centimeter? So first we will write the given as known as one. Our mean is 160 centimeter and the standard deviation of 7 centimeter and the x bar of 150 centimeter and our sample size of 10. To get we need to find the proportion. So as stated that the mean x bar is equal to the mean, so it is equal to 160. So now we have the mean of 160. And now for our standard error will be equal to the standard deviation over the square root of the sample size will be equal to the 7 centimeter over 10 square root will be equal to 2.2136. And now to get the C, the x bar over the mu over our standard error will be equal to 157 minus 160 over the standard error of 2.2136 will be equal to 1 -1.36. So to get the proportion of x bar is less than 157 is still equal to p is equal to z is less than -1.36 and c point will be equal to 0.0869. So how did we get the 0.0869? We will go back to our C table. Pabalik po sa slide naman. As so our answer on the standard error of our z is -1.36. So we will see for our 0.13 -1.3. Then our second decimal of 6 as clearly stated on our C-score table 0.0869. Pabrik na po ulit doon sa ano po. So C 0.0869. So if we graph it with the mean of 160 centimeter will be on the middle and our x bar or our proportion will be at the left side or that will be equal to 0.0869. Next slide please. So for our example 2, the entrance exam score of a certain university has a mean of 74 and a standard deviation of 6.8. The exam scores follow a normal distribution. If a normal student is selected at random, what is the probability that his exam score is less than 65? Example 2 is still the same as example 1. So first we write the given and our mean is still is 74 and for our standard deviation is 6.8 and for our x bar is 65 and our because the student is selected at random our sample size is n will be equal to 1. So it is our mean x bar is still equal to the mean and it is equal to 74. So now we are computing again for the standard error. 6.8 over the square root of 1 is still equal to 6.8. And for our z-score is 65, our x bar minus 74, the mean, over the standard error, the 6.8, is equal to -1.3235 or -1.32 because when getting the z-score, we only need two decimal value. So to look if p the proportion of x is less than 65 will be equal to the proportion of z is less than -1.32 is 0.0934. Pabalik po sa ano po. So -1.3. So negative 1, 3, and our second decimal value is 2, is 0.0934. So that is our answer for our C-score. Pabalik na po ulit sa example. And to plot, and we are going to graph, still the mean is on the middle, 74. Our standard error, the 6.8, and our C-score of 0.0934, the shaded part. Okay, next example. So the last example, number 3. A factory produces steel rods with lengths are normally distributed with a mean of 63 cm and a standard deviation of 12. A quality control inspector takes a random sample of 16 rods from the production lane. What is the probability that the average length of the rods is in this sample is greater than 61 centimeter? So this is a little different from our example 1 and 2, because now that our that is being stated in the example is greater than 61.5 centimeter. Still, we cite the given. Our mean is still 60. Now is 63. Standard deviation of 12, and then x bar of 61.5, and the sample size of 16. So we still compute for our standard error. 12 over square root of 16 is equal to 3, and our C is equal to 61.5 minus 63 over 3 is equal to 0.5. So our P, our P x bar is now greater than 61.5 and will be equal to the P Z that is supposed to be C. That is a mistake. Is greater than negative 0.5 is equal to 0.3085. To look at the C-score, negative 0.5, ano po sa table po ulit, negative 0.5. So, node second decimal. So, we only need to look at this, the first column, 0.5. 0.3085. Pabalik na po ulit. So, example po. 0.3085. And because it is greater than 61.5, and when graphing the problem, it was supposed to be on the left side. So we must minus 1 on the given C. So 1 minus 0.3085 will be equal to 0.6915. And that would be our final answer, the 0.6915. And that is all for 6.2. And I am now, yan po. Next presenter na po.
Approximate sampling distribution of a different sample means. If we have two independent population with mean and variance and are the sample mean of the independent random sample of size and the population, then the sampling distribution of equal below is approximately standard normal if we condition of the central limit theorem apply. If the two populations are normal, the sampling distribution of Z is exactly standard normal. Next slide. Example number 1. Two sections take the same long quiz exam. A sample of 40 students from the class 1 and 40 students from the class 2 selected. The population standard deviation for exam score are both known to be 8 points. For given N1 is equal to 40 and N2 is equal to 40. Standard deviation 1 equal to 8 and standard deviation 2 is equal to 8. Mean 1 minus mean 2 is equal 0. Um, Find the difference we want in x bar 1 minus x bar 2 is equal to negative 2.0. Standard error. Square root of 8 over 40 plus square root 8 squared over 40 equal to square root of 16 over 5. Z-score, we plug in the formula and negative 2.0 minus 0 divided by square root of 16 over 5 is equal to 1.118. And the probability we want, P of z less than negative 1.118. P of z less than 1.118 is 0.8682. So P of z greater than 1.118 is 1 minus 0.8682, which is 0.1318. Next example. Example number 2. Two brands of light bulb are tested for the lifespan. 20 bulbs for brand A are tested and their lifespan is hours is recorded. The same is done with brand B. The population standard deviation for both brands are known to be 100 hours. Given sample size of A and sub A is 20. Sample size of B and sub B is 20. Population standard deviation of A is 100 and population standard deviation of B is 100 also. Assume mean A minus mean B equals 0. This means we think the true average are the same. Find the standard error. This tells us how much the difference between two sample average can be natural vary. The formula is the square root of standard deviation A and square root over NA plus standard deviation B squared over NB. 100 squared over 20 plus 100 squared over 20 is 1000. To calculate the z-score, tell us how our value is from what we expected in terms of standard error. The difference we care about, which is 80, minus the expected difference, which is 0, all divided by the standard error. So 80 minus 0 is 80. 80 divided by square root of 1000 is approximately 2.553. So our z-scores is 2.53. To find the probability, we want the probability that z is greater than 2.53. We look up to 2.53 and the z table, which is give us probability that z is less than 2.53. The probability is 0.9943. Since the total probability is 1, the probability that z is greater than 2.53 is 1 minus 0.9943, which is equal to 0.0057. Sample number 3. The television picture tube of manufacture A have a mean lifetime of 6.5 years and standard deviation of 0.9 years, while those of manufacturer B have a mean lifespan of 6.0 years and standard deviation of 0.8 year. What is the probability that this random sample of 36 tubes from manufacturer A will have a mean lifetime that is at least 1 year more than the mean lifetime of sample of 49 tube from manufacturer B, giving the following information. Given mean A is equal to 6.5 and mean B is equal to 6.0. Standard deviation A is equal to 0.9 and standard deviation B is equal to 0.8. NA is equal to 36 and NB is equal to 49. The difference we want is x bar A minus x bar B is greater than or equal to 1.0. First, the expected difference is mean A minus mean B is equal to 6.5 minus 6.0, so it's 0.5. Now, the standard error is square root of 0 point squared over 36 plus 0.8 squared over 49, so it's equal to 0.03556. 1 minus 0.5 divided by square root of 0.0356. This is 0.5 divided by 0.1886, which is approximately 2.65. The probability that we want for P of Z greater than or equal to 2.65 is 0.9960. So P of Z greater than 2.65 is 1 minus 0.9960, which is 0.0040. That's all. For next topic is Axel De will teach us that.
Now, general concept of point estimation. A point estimate of some population parameter theta is a single value of a statistic. For example, the value of the statistic computed from sample size is a point estimated of the population parameters mean. Similarly, x over n is a point of estimated of true proportion for a binomial experiment. Next slide, please. Now, I'm going to discuss an unbiased estimator. An estimator should be close in a some sense to the true value of the unknown parameter. Formally, we state that is an unbiased estimator of theta. If, if the expected value of equals to theta, this is equivalent to saying that the mean of the probability distribution of or mean the sample distribution of is equal to theta. Now is bias of an estimator. The point estimator is an unbiased estimator for the parameter theta if E equals to theta. If the estimator is not unbiased, then the difference E is minus negative theta is called the bias of the estimator. When estimator is unbiased, the bias is zero. That is E T minus theta is equals to zero. Next slide, please. Now we have an example of unbiased estimator. The first one is sample mean. The given is population equals to 10. The sample values is equal to sample 1 equals to 9, sample 2 is equals to 10, and sample 3 is equals to 1. Now we have to solve the sample mean. Sample mean equals to 9 plus 10 plus 11 over 3 is equals to 30 over 3 or 10. Now, you can see the sample mean is equals to population mean equals to 10, so is unbiased. So now example 2, sample variance. The given is sample values. Sample 1 is equals to 5, sample 2 is equals to 7, sample 3 is equals to 8. The sample size is equals to 3. Now we can solve it. Then 5 plus 7 plus 8 over 3 is equals to 20 over 3 or 6.67. Now we get the sample variance. The sample variance equals to 1 over sample size minus 1. Summation of sample 1 minus sample mean. Now we're gonna solve. Sample variance equals to 1 half, equal 1 half 5 5 minus 6.67 squared plus 7.67 squared plus 8.67 squared. Now we can get the 1 half equals to negative 1.67 squared plus 0.33 squared plus 1.33 squared. As you can see, there, if you solve this, it is equals to 3. As you can see, the 3 is equivalent to same as in sample size, so we can call it unbiased. Next slide, please. The last example for unbiased is sample proportion. The given is in a survey of 10 people say they prefer T. True proportion P equals to 0.4. In solving sample proportion is equals to some x over n. So 4 over 10 is equals to 0.4. As you can see, 0.4 is as a same of population proportion, 0.4, so is unbiased. Next slide, please. Now we have an example of bias estimator. The sample variance with n. Estimator natin ay sample variance is equals to 1 over n summation of n over I equals to 1. Then multiply summation of sample 1 minus sample mean squared. The expected value of it is known that A equals to 1 over n summation f n over I is equals to 1. Then sample 1 minus x squared is equals to sample size minus n over sample size is equals to sample variance. Compared with the true variance, sample variance is equals to n minus 1 over n. Sample variance is equal to sample variance. The estimator is biased because it is underestimate the true variance. The example 2 is maximum estimator of mean. Suppose as we have sample x equals to 2, 4, and 5. The maximum mean A is 5. The sample mean is equals to 2 plus 4 plus 5 over 3 is equals to 3.67. As you can see, 3.67 is too far to maximum mean. So magkaiba po sila. Using the maximum overestimate the true mean. So it's bias. Next slide, please. The last example is the adjusted sample proportion. We have now an sample n is equals to 4 trials and x is equals to 1 success. The estimator is p equals to x plus 1 over n plus 2. So 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 is equals to 0.33. Eh, their true sample of proportion is p over 1 over 4. So it's 0.25. So as you can see, the the estimator is bigger than the true sample of proportion. The estimator is slightly overestimate the probability compared to the true value. So it's called, so as you can see, it is bias. Next slide.
And now let's proceed to 6.3.2. The 6.3.2 is variance of point estimator, which is the variance of point estimator. Point estimator measures how much the estimator values change from one sample to another. Also, a small variance means that the estimates are consistent and close to the true value, while the large variance means they vary widely. In short, and to make it clear, the smaller the variance, the more reliable and precise the estimate. And now, let's proceed to example. Let's say we're estimating the population mean using two estimator, the estimator A and the estimator B. Every time you sample, your estimate is close to 10.1 and 9.9, 10.9. That is our small variance. Later, I will discuss it about the solution. Estimator B, your estimates jump between 8.5 to 12, 8.5, 12, and 9. That is our large variance. Even if both estimator are unbiased, their average is 10. Estimator A is better because its results are more stable and its smaller variance. To make it clear also, both estimator hit the target on average, but estimator A hits closer to the center each time estimator B shot are scattered all over the place. To make it clear, let's proceed to example. I forgot to write the given, but I will do my best to explain clearly. For our estimator A, first we will get the mean. We will use the formula for mean. And now the given for estimator A is 10.1, 9.9, and 10. And also we're going to add them and divide it by 3 because there are 3. And we will get the 10. And for estimator B, repeat the process also. Our given for estimator B is 8.5 plus 12 plus 9 over 3. Equal siya sa 29.5 over 3. And to simplify it, that is 9.833. And now we're going to solve the standard deviation. Variance. In here, as you can see, even if both estimator their average is 10, estimator A is better because its results are more stable. As you can see on the slide, the estimator A gets the 10, which is our center, and B is 9.83, but not the center or not the target. And now we're going to solve the variance to make the First, I'm so sorry. Estimator A, yan. For estimator A, as you can see, we get the mean for estimator A, which is 10. But we will need to subtract it by the given, which is 10.1 minus the mean, or the mean, the 10 that we get. So 10.1 minus 10 is equal to 0.9, and 9.9 minus 10 squared is equal to 0.01 also, and then just repeat the process and equal to 0. Then we will plug it into our formula. So 0.01 plus 0.01 plus 0 over 3, our n, and minus 1. And we will get the answer, which is 0.01. That is our estimator A. For estimator B, 8.5 minus 9.83. Just repeat the process also, and then plug into to our formula, and we will get the 3.58. That is our variance. Ayun. Both estimator hit the target on average, but estimator A hits closer to the center, as I say earlier. And the estimator A is smaller than estimator B, which is 0.1, but the estimator B is, the average of estimator B is 3.58. And to make it clear, if the variance is small, the estimator gives values that are close together. It's consistent and reliable, as I said earlier. If the variance is large, the estimator gives values that jumps around a lot, and it's less reliable. The estimator B that we get rather. And now I will pass this to present the 6.3.3 to my group mates.
So for the standard error measures the precision of an estimator. It is the standard deviation of an estimator. A smaller standard error means a more precise estimate used to understand sampling variability. And the next one is standard error of an estimator. For known population, standard deviation SE equals standard deviation over the square root of sample size. If standard deviation is unknown, use sample standard deviation as S. For example, SE equal S over square root of sample size. SE decreases when sample size increases. So for the last topic is the mean square error of an estimator. An estimator measures how close an estimator is to the true parameter value. It is defined as the expected square difference between the estimator and the true value. Sometimes it is necessary to use a bias estimator if it results in a smaller MSE, or mean squared error. This is because MSE accounts for both the variance and the bias of an estimator. As illustrated, a bias estimator may have a smaller variance than an unbiased one, and therefore a lower overall MSE, making it preferable in certain situations. So, for the formula is MSE equals E theta hat equals theta squared. Thank you.